Audi arrives in F1 in 2026, but can it really achieve its ambitious target of fighting for the World Championship within 5 years? The struggles of Audi's soft launch era after starting its takeover of Sauber in late 2022 don't inspire confidence. But the vast improvement in 2025 gives the project some of the credibility it badly lacked heading into its official launch in Berlin on January the 20th. Even so, it only finished 9th in the Constructors' Championship. That's no different to where it has been for much of the past decade and a half, since it returned to independent status after BMW offloaded it at the end of 2009. Audi has to expect better heading into its foundation season in 2026, so let's appraise its progress in 4 key areas. Sauber bookended the recent ground effect era with midfield success, scoring a combined total of 115 points in the first 9 races in 2022 and the final 16 races of 25. Tellingly, it managed a pathetic 30 across the 68 races in between. That strong finish is encouraging. In 2024, Sauber changed its car concept to run lower and stiffer, which worked reasonably well initially before on-track struggles exposed development tool correlation problems. A floor upgrade introduced 3 races before the end of that year in Las Vegas improved its form, allowing Zhou Guanyu to save Sauber from an ignominious pointless campaign with 8th in Qatar. That development step was the foundation of the 2025 car, but again there were problems. With near full focus on the 26 car, technical director James Key tasked a group of around 10 relatively young aerodynamicists to act as what he calls a special forces team to improve the 25 car. The result was a triptych of floor developments introduced across the Spanish, Austrian and British Grand Prix mid-season. These not only increased downforce, but crucially made the car more aerodynamically robust, less prone to airflow stalls and vortex bursts, and therefore more consistent and easier to drive. That turned it into a capable midfielder, with Nico Hülkenberg taking his famous podium at Silverstone. Crucially, Key claims Sauber had plenty of ideas to improve the car further that it never had the chance to implement. That illustrates genuine gains made with its development tools and aerodynamic understanding. And while the rules change completely in 2026, that grasp of the underlying science feeds into the 26 project. Add to that growing staff numbers, the opening of a technical centre in the UK last summer, and investment to improve facilities in its Hinwil factory in Switzerland, and it's clear Sauber is catching up, after years of enforced underspending compared to leading rivals. In that regard, the new rules probably come a little too early in this process to expect a great leap forward, but technically there's no reason why Audi shouldn't produce at least a decent car in 2026. Another area where Sauber sharpened up dramatically in 2025 was operationally, particularly in terms of execution trackside. In 2024, it frequently failed to get the most out of its car. The arrival of Jonathan Wheatley as team principal has unquestionably played a part in that dramatic upturn since, but the shift began even before he took up his post at the start of April. Audi F1 project boss Mattia Binotto injected a sense of purpose into a team he described as being frozen when he started in August 2024. It's obvious the team was drifting towards the Audi switch rather than pushing on towards it prior to his intervention. Binotto speaks of giving clear targets to personnel, including the importance of respectable results in 2025. That said, Sauber could have achieved more in 25. It ended up the lowest placed of the 4 teams fighting for 6th in the Constructors' Championship, and it was the least effective of those teams when it came to delivering double points finishes. That's just one measure, and it's important to note that even in its revised guise, the car still wasn't the easiest to drive on the limit on low fuel, meaning that it was rare for both drivers to qualify well. But if you have a point-scoring car, you ideally want to get both on the scoreboard. Operational sharpness matters. When results are bad, it's easy for a team to meander aimlessly in the vague expectation things will come together at some far-off point in the future. Becoming Audi risked being seen as a magic bullet that everyone expected would hit the mark come 2026, costing the team that edge. It has at least avoided that fate. While these improvements came later than they should have done, the fact Sauber sharpened up so much in 2025 proves it is evolving. Audi's power unit is the great unknown when it comes to evaluating its 2026 prospects. Audi Formula Racing created this all-new engine package at its facility in Neuburg an der Donau in Bavaria, about a 4-hour drive from the chassis base in Hinwil. This is housed in a purpose-built 3,000 square metre building with no expense spared on the facility, personnel and equipment. A cost cap covers power unit development, so Audi should not be behind its rivals on spending. The baseline was set at $95 million for each of 2023, 24 and 25, rising to $130 million in 26. In fact, Audi is permitted to spend slightly more than its established rivals, as new manufacturers were granted an extra $5 million for 23, with a further $10 million for each of 24 and 25. We know Audi didn't identify the trick conceived by Mercedes and Red Bull powertrains to allow the engine, when hot, to run at a higher compression ratio than the intended maximum of 16:1. Which is reckoned to be worth several tenths of a second. Binotto has also said repeatedly that Audi will not have the best engine in 2026. However, Audi has regularly claimed it's hitting development milestones. Its full power units, comprising the V6 engine, the MGU-K, battery and control electronics, began running on the test bench back in May 2024. That test bench running has continued, culminating in being incorporated with the full transmission, the internals of which are developed in Neuburg, with the externals such as the gearbox casing produced at Hinwil. Binotto also claims the version of the PU used in testing will be distant from the final race spec, with proving reliability the priority pre-season. Although power units must be homologated for the 2026 season, the FIA can permit changes to the V6 engine itself under F1's Additional Development and Upgrade Opportunities rules, or ADUO for short. This is judged based on the FIA's Performance Index, the methodology for which is shared only with the PU manufacturers. This is evaluated across 3 periods running from races 1 to 6, 7 to 12 and 13 to 18 that can allow changes, extra test bench running and even additional cost cap spending. To be given such concessions, a PU manufacturer must be at least 2% off as measured by the Performance Index. The other imponderable is the performance of Audi's BP-produced fuel. The switch to advanced sustainable fuels in 2026 makes this a critical performance battleground. Audi is certain it is on the right track for its 2030 title-chasing ambitions with engine development, but realistically it's likely to be at least a little behind initially. Rumours of Audi's supposedly wavering commitment to F1 have flared up periodically over the past couple of years. There are 2 main reasons for that, the first being the shifting sands of its F1 strategy. Audi's initial deal was to acquire 75% of Sauber in a phased takeover agreed in October 2022. This plan changed when it upped that to 100% at the start of 2024 by buying Finn Rausing's 25% stake. But that was just part of its plans changing. This emerged from a strategic review launched after Gernot Döllner succeeded Markus Duesmann as Audi CEO in September 2023. The investment in the F1 project had to increase to have any chance of hitting its racing targets, but to achieve that, it needed to buy out Rausing and find a new partner. The result was the sale of a significant minority stake, understood to be in the region of 30%, to the Qatar Investment Authority. The sovereign wealth fund of Qatar doesn't lack for cash, and this helped to bankroll the necessary spending. This includes the extra $20 million of capital expenditure allowed by a change to the financial regulations in 2023. Add to that a massive title sponsorship deal with fintech company Revolut, creating what is officially called the Audi Revolut F1 team, and the healthy prize money income guaranteed simply by being an F1 team, and Audi should be self-sufficient. That's significant because of the second reason for the rumours, which is the financial situation of Audi as a whole. The need for investment in electrification combined with declining sales and a series of reduced profit projections means 7,500 jobs are being cut in Germany by the end of 2029, a timeline that allows Audi to avoid forced redundancies. That's part of cutting costs by in excess of €1 billion, announced last March, to tackle what Audi describes as tougher economic conditions. When manufacturers require cuts, motorsport spending is usually near or at the top of the list. After all, it isn't a good look to be engaging in what's seen as a frivolous fringe activity such as F1 when regular jobs are being slashed. However, Audi sees its F1 project not only as cost neutral, but also as an appreciating asset given the skyrocketing value of teams, which protects it from having to put a red line through it in at least the short to medium term, so any claims of it wanting to get out of F1 can be dismissed. Automotive manufacturers are fickle masters, and if Audi doesn't make the progress that's expected over the next 5 years, then who knows what the future might hold. For now, it's all optimism for Audi. Given its resources, it should be as successful in F1 as it has been in rallying and sports cars in the past, but still has a long way to go, and midfield respectability would only be the start of a long journey. But if there's one thing that history proves time and again about big manufacturers in F1, there's no guarantee that the promise and potential turn into performance.